Friends, as you know, the theme for the International Women's Day 2023 is DigitALL, innovation and technology for gender equality. What does it mean for the institutions and what does it mean for the banking especially? Already we have talked about the humane face of banking, because banking needs to be more humane, as most of the customers, even writing on social media, often complain of the non-sensitive behavior of the bank employees. That has to be addressed, especially when it comes to the gender perspective, when it comes to tackling women customers. And therefore, for banks, building a future of scientific progress along with the gender equality, that banking progress, given the digital technology, given the innovation, is of paramount importance. The banks on one hand have to launch a massive campaign on gender sensitivity, be that the sensitivity and dignity for the bank women employees or women employees of the bank, and inclusion of the third gender. Also the sensitivity and respect and dignity for the women customers. That is missing, if we speak honestly, because at times it is mess in banks and the banking management is simply a mute spectator. They just can't handle it. Therefore, if we have to build a future of banking progress, we will have to be sensitive, and we need, I would say, that DEI formula, that is diversity, equity and inclusion. Diversity in terms of the staff. Let us not be too regional, let's not be too urban, rural or other categories. Gender has to be, people of all gender have to be brought in to maintain that diversity of staff, and later tackling the diversity of customers. Also, if we speak of the equity, we need to facilitate that equity among bank employees, equity of the division of labor with women's sensitivity, with gender sensitivity and inclusion. We will have to see what are the exclusionary factors that still lie with banks. Is the maternity leave accorded in full? Is it granted in full? Or the branch heads maintaining that ethical standards while dealing with female employees? And when it comes to inclusion, are people from all genders included? Let me ask a question here. How many people from the third gender or the LGBTQIA++ people will be currently working in banks? Is our bank sensitive to this? Our bank sensitive to the diversity of the human resource? How many women are there and how many have been granted child care leave? Because children are the future, and banks cannot just shy away from this responsibility. They cannot deny leave. Therefore, be it medical benefits, be it other workplace dues, and most of all, dignity for women at workplace. Are the bank's internal complaints committees working? Are banks working in these directions? And how many women in banks reach to the top? Is there any kind of glass ceiling still existing? And when we talk about the women-led development, how many women officers in banks are currently leading the banks and literally showing an innovative path and drawing that path towards progress or leading their banks to progress? What is the women's contribution in banks, and what is their, first of all, proportion, working proportion? That too needs to be seen. Today, when we are observing International Women's Day 2023, we will have to see if the banking sector is equally gender sensitive. What kind of harassments do bank women employees face? How do committees tackle? Are there any committees? What about the branches? And how are complaints tackled? What kind of gender sensitive workshops have banks been conducted? I'm talking of all banks, private and public. And what is banks community interface, or what they call corporate social responsibility, CSR? Have they any contribution to the society, or is just profit making business? How much are banks working on tackling the behavior of employees while at the desk? How are banks sensitizing their employees? How many workshops have banks been conducting for the last, say, 10 years? How many employees do they feel that they have trained? Therefore, the essential role of gender studies, or what they call women's studies, is important here. While sensitizing banks, there must be university banks MOUs wherein trained personnel or trained resource persons from universities can conduct online, offline workshops with bank employees and teach, rather facilitate gender sensitivity and deliver on the ethics and relevance of gender sensitivity. Because if the workers in banks are sensitized enough, all the banking mess will go and will facilitate smooth work. The conduct of an employee matters. Therefore, the conduct has to be proper. Let banks shoulder this responsibility and sign MOUs with the universities so that sensitization, especially gender sensitization and sexual harassment at workplace act, etc., many other provisions are delivered to the staff, and people are sensitized so that they can tackle and work for the dignity of their fellow colleagues, women colleagues, and the customers, and most of all, working towards DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Are banks working in these directions? What about third gender? I will ask again. How many people from the third gender are currently employed in banks? This is a question that needs an answer. Thank you.